What's up, everybody? So I'm quite sure at this point that just about all of us have had an online therapy session where the connection was spotty or the platform itself was unreliable. In this video, I offer some tips to help mitigate this problem so that you can have smoother calls and to know what to do when technology just isn't going your way. Welcome to Private Practice Skills. I'm Dr. Marie Fang, psychologist in private practice. I post videos offering tools I learned the hard way about starting and growing private practice so that you don't have to. Now, believe it or not, there are many factors contributing to the smoothness of your online call. So in this video, I'm going to go through all the different factors that you can try to improve in order to make your call go as smoothly as possible. What I'm going to do is I'm going to up here probably post each of these factors with timestamps for where you can find each of them, and also post those timestamps in the description box so you can jump to the section you're needing help with. So let's start by figuring out what's causing your poor connection during your online sessions. The first step is to check your internet speed. You can see how your internet is doing by doing an online speed test. I'll link to one below, but there's all kinds of them available. If your internet speed isn't looking too great, this is definitely the first thing to target before moving on to some of the other factors I talk about. Next, you want to assess when the connectivity issues happen. If it's happening during every single session, but your internet speed is looking great, then it might be time to start exploring alternative teletherapy platforms. If you're noticing that the connectivity issues are happening during specific times of day, this could be explained by one of two possibilities. It could be because your personal internet is getting maxed out due to others in your home or your office using your internet at the same time. Or it could be explained by your teletherapy platform getting maxed out during peak hours. I'm going to talk about that more later. And lastly, if everything is clear on your end and you're just noticing connectivity issues with specific clients, then there's a really good chance that there's some issue going on with your client's internet connection. So based on everything we just covered, you can jump to the section that you're needing help with in order to address the issue. Now let's talk about improving your internet connection. For starters, move closer to a Wi-Fi connection. If you're able to move to a confidential space that's closer to your Wi-Fi connection, make it happen. Or if it's an option to even move your router closer to you, if that's easier, you can do that too. The next tip for improving your internet connection is to disconnect all other devices from your Wi-Fi. Meaning anyone else in your home or office who are using the same Wi-Fi, if they can disconnect their devices or turn them off, that's going to help improve the speed of your internet connection. The next tip is to use an Ethernet cable. Now I know this sounds super old school, and to be honest, I don't even have an Ethernet port on my device, and there's a good chance you don't. But if you do have an Ethernet port on your computer, if you can string a cable all the way to your router, that's gonna maximize your internet connection. You don't have to worry about the Wi-Fi getting chopped up between walls and whatever other barriers exist. You can just plug straight into the source. Now, if after making all of these changes, the internet speed test is still showing that you have a pretty poor connection, it might be time to consider upgrading your internet. It is also an option to set up more than one Wi-Fi connection in the same home, and that way you might be able to be the only one accessing that particular Wi-Fi connection. Others in your home or your office can be on a different one. Now, hopefully at this point, your internet connection is looking pretty solid, so we're gonna move on to the next factor, and that is improving your client's internet connection. Now, I know this factor can be a bit tricky because it's already quite challenging for some of our clients to find a confidential space in their home to meet with us remotely during shelter in place. But if your hunch is that specific clients are having connection issues on their end, you might start by inviting them to do that internet speed test. If your client runs this speed test and it's showing that their internet connection is slow, then you might consider sending them a list of things to try, such as the ones that I just went over in the last section. You might also consider putting these recommendations in your teletherapy informed consent and also just verbally going over them with your clients the first time you meet for an online session. Now, if after all of the above, your client's internet connection is still pretty spotty, if they do have a data plan and a device connected to LTE, they could consider connecting to you via that device, or running a hotspot from that device and still connecting over the computer if that's something technologically they know how to do. And as a last resort, you can consider whether you're open to offering phone sessions for a client when their technology isn't allowing them to meet for a video session. All right, the next factor to consider is timing your sessions during non-peak hours. Even if you and your clients have fantastic internet connections, Even the best of teletherapy platforms can get overwhelmed at times when there's too many users on the platform at the same time. So when are peak hours exactly? Essentially, it's when all of us on the West Coast, East Coast, and everyone in between are logged in at the same time. So in my state of California, those peak hours are from around 10 a.m. till about 2 p.m. on weekdays. If you're not living on the West Coast, then you can adjust those times based on where you live. And if it's an option, you might consider moving when you see your clients so that it's not during peak hours. Even after running through these first three factors, inevitably there will be moments where during your session with your client, there will be connectivity issues and you need a backup plan. I mean, we've all been there before. You're in the middle of a therapy session and you can't hear your client at all. What do? Here are a few items you can consider having as backup plans so that you don't have to end up forfeiting the entire session when this happens. First, there's the tried and true hang up and call back strategy. This often is enough to sort of reset the platform, so if I ever do have some connection issues, I let my client know I'm going to hang up and call them back. Oftentimes it's all that we needed to fix it. Number two, have a backup platform available. It's a good idea to be logged in to a couple of HIPAA secure strategies to connect with your clients. So if you're using Doxy primarily and that cuts out, maybe you can just make that switch over to Google Meet really quickly and send your client a login so you can pick up the session where you left off. It might sound like overkill, but it's really nice to have that insurance available in the moment if you need it. Now, if you're continuing to have connectivity issues, it is an option to try turning off the video during your call. So while you're still in your teletherapy session, everything's really choppy. If you just mute the video but don't mute the audio, oftentimes that's enough to make things go a bit more smooth. And fourth, you can consider whether you're open to switching to a phone call if you go through everything else and it's just not working out for you. Now, if after all of this is said and done, you're still not having a good connection and maybe your phone reception is spotty too, it's important to have a policy in place for what you do if you have this spotty connection. Now, it's really helpful for clients to know in advance what you'll do if there is a spotty connection. I like to put this policy in my informed consent, and I also let clients know what my policy is the first time we meet for online therapy. All right, well, I know that was a lot, but hopefully there were some tools in here that you hadn't considered yet that might help you have a smoother connection when you're meeting with your clients. Let me know in the comments if there's any tips you know about that I missed, and until next time, from one therapist to another, I wish you well. Today's video is brought to you by TherapyNotes.com. TherapyNotes helps with scheduling, notes, and billing so that you can spend more time with your clients and less time on back office paperwork. Click the link in the description of this video to get 2 months to try it for free with no commitment. Hello. Yeah, that was weird.